All right. Hello, professors, fellow students, and others that may be watching this video. We are Team Soundbyte, and this is vlog number 5 for ENSC 477, the capstone class. My name is Brandon Clark, and I'm working with Mason Lane and Brian June Kim. So for a quick overview of the goal of our project, our team will provide creators and hobbyists with a tool that prescribes audio files to complement a given song when mixing. The goal is to improve the workflow of the artists while being a utility for DJs in the future. So, as for the roles and responsibilities for each team member, myself, I'm primarily responsible for machine learning and the suggestion component, the science and research behind that, and also the development associated with that. Brian Ju and Kim is responsible for the front end design and development, as well as some back end development. And Mason Lane is responsible for acting as our Scrum Master, back end and front end architecture, as well as back end development and feature extraction. So, what have we been up to? Our last sprint ran from February 23rd to March 8th, and our current sprint is running from March 9th to March 22nd.
So speaking to what I have been working on since our last bazaar, was adding successful feature extraction through Essentially.js, and to do that we use a multi-threading web worker. And with that, I also added a loading bar so that the user understood that we were extracting data. Also, added the ability to disable buttons on loading, so you couldn't query the loader more than, or the web worker more than once, and also made it so that you could send the relevant data to Python. I also added content security policies and to most of the web sites on the web app, but had to include one area where we had unsafe eval, and that is because we use WebAssembly files with our um, web workers, and that the biggest problem there is that it's just slightly less secure, and I'm looking into ways to uh, work around that. Additionally, I worked on random input selection. That's something we had sitting on the side that was kind of half done for a very long time, and now it actually works in the application. Added a settings menu, as well as various exception handling and minor UI improvements. I also fixed a bug with the library data type that was causing some trouble.
Uh, pre, uh, my my works include um, add criteria options for the search condition, as the screenshot shows. Add save this result menu and auto pairing menu change it to reset menu. Users can change their initial song library in the menu page. Playback functions different with previous Scrum buzzer. It works for now, but I didn't test it sufficiently, so we need to test some of it.
So, speaking to my contributions over the last few weeks, I've been refining the weights versus differences in key. So, basically, if two songs are not of the same key, what value do we assign to add to the similarity measure in any given combination of two keys? So, just figuring out a good way to do that. Uh, and also sorting by features, which I'll talk a little bit more about later on. From the screen cap here, we can just see our suggestion menu returning songs within the user's library based on a song input. So where are we sitting? Personally, I feel like we're in the yellow. It's mid-March, and we still have lots of polishing to do. Brian also feels like we're in the yellow. Feels like we are behind track somehow. Mason also shares a similar sentiment. Lots of cleanup to do and lots of little additions. We're very close to an MVP. Unfortunately, we will have to delay user testing.
So next for me is writing more exception handling, as well as sending or adding the ability for users to send their feature data, exclusive feature data, to the Brandon's Python scripts, as well as helping with existing tickets like filter and result saving. I also hope to start some user testing and evaluation.
What's next for me is clean up setting pages um, and follow up for save result saving menu and fixing design errors and testing front end functions following to the back end functions.
All right, and speaking to what's next for myself, just some general goals is to refactor the backend and update the documentation so that we have some strong documents for our final report, as well as some testing. Also, the next thing that I'd like to implement is feature filtering on the suggestion menu. So here we see a screen cap on the right with a few annotations to form a lo-fi of kind of what this would look like. So the black boxes at the top would be the respective features of each song. So the user could select whether to sort or not sort by this feature, and also whether it should be sorted in ascending or descending order.
And quickly speaking to features that we have envisioned beyond our MVP and things that we will not achieve by the start of April are the inclusion of or the leveraging of our multi-threading web worker. So currently the loading is not very effective. It's because we're extracting and decoding songs. To do 10 or more songs, it takes some time and it holds up the DOM for too long. It's not very it's not like a delightful user experience, and because of that, I think in future iterations it would be better for us to have something that loads as you browse. So, and that's exactly what we can do with our multi-threading. So instead, what we would do is we would load songs and individually metadata you can get quite quickly, and then in the library menu we would individually load the more important data like beats per minute. This way you could explore the application without having to have every song loaded at the same time. And we could also display to users when we had trouble loading a song or if there was issues decoding. So say there was something wrong with the format even though it was a WAV file, things like that. And that would really improve in our next MVP, and something I think we should focus on after testing, if we moved on to testing. So real quick, I'm going to show our application. So at the start, if you don't have any initiation settings set, you have to load a song. So I'll do that now. And a loading bar pops up and begins to load the song. You'll notice that in this time you can't input new things because obviously we don't want to be calling the web worker more than once, at least for the time being. Songs have been read and we move on, and from here we can see that we can either send any one song, or we can select a specific song and start. When it starts, we run the Python script, and Brandon and my branch are different, so that's the reason why I don't have his changes, but his suggestions would be coming back, as seen in the pictures that he showed us.
Hi,
you can press
this
play,
is the musical story of Bobby Darin.
and going into the Update and Change Library menu, what we do is we clear your settings and then send you back to initialization so that you can select a different library. In the future, the settings menu would be like, oh, I want to add an MP3, or oh, I updated one song, please update my library, things like that. That way we don't have to make someone sit through 10 songs over and over again, but for the meantime it's a little bit more simple. So one thing I can show for the exception handling is if I delete the library JSON file and go back to suggestion, we're told that, oh, hey, there's no songs in the library, please try again. So this is to ensure that if you lose your library or didn't give us valid stuff to read, then we'll try again. And we have similar things being worked in so that when you browse, if you browse and send a folder with no songs, we don't try to load that. So that, I think, concludes our demo. In terms of group reflection, we made significant strides and pieces are falling into place. Earlier I said that we would be done, or pretty much done, by mid-March, and we're certainly not close to testing, but I think we are close to being done, and it falls within the estimate I had originally expected in terms of most of our conclusions, and you'll see that in our Jira, in our roadmap. In terms of barrier to success, obviously testing. That's a really upsetting factor that we're trying to still fit in. For the roadmap, as you can see, we have a lot of done, but a lot of testing that isn't done. So the majority of development is done, but testing is still part of the development process. So yeah, it's unfortunate. And of course, our GitHub stamp of approval that we are up to date and have been working hard throughout the last 2 weeks. Thank you for watching, and that, I think, concludes our vlog for this Scrum. Bye-bye.